Joining me in studio now is Dave Perry, an accomplished investigator, a 27-year career on the Toronto Police Force. The Holly Jones investigation was among other things, of course, that you've worked on, Dave, over the years, and we want to get your take on really what is seen as a psychological chess game that played out between the interrogator and the former Colonel Russell Williams. Someone said, and a very veteran of the OPP said, it is a smart man outsmarted by an even smarter man. You agree?
Well said, but it's probably a smart man, although a sexual deviant, being outmaneuvered by a skilled interviewer.
All right, let's take a look at the first excerpt here and get your take on it.
Sure.
So what am I doing, Russ? I put my best foot forward here for you, bud. I really have. I don't know what else to do to make you understand the impact of what's happening here. Did we talk?
I want to minimize the impact on my wife.
So do I.
So how do we do that?
Well, we start by telling the truth.
Okay.
Okay. So where is she?
Get him out.
Guess we could say that was the confession. You can see, obviously, his mouth moving. The man is broken. Describe the dynamic as you saw. What played out there? Real waiting game.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there. Over the hours, basically, he was defeated in the interview room through a presentation of evidence, but even before that, by painting himself into a corner by answering questions like, would there be any reason for there to be DNA in this house? And he knows the answer is yes, but he can't say that, so he has to say no. So the investigator let him lie, let him deny, and then gently started to present pieces of evidence that would show that he knows exactly what's happened and that he has the evidence to back it up.
Did he know if he just waited, he'd eventually get this, or was it just a waiting game? Would he have gone somewhere else eventually?
If he needed to, but he systematically broke him down. And what we just saw there was, somebody who was defeated in a defeated posture, head down, arms crossed, hands against the face. You got to remember, this guy's the commander of a major Air Force base. Yeah. He's not used to being like this or looking like this. Clearly defeated at that point. And in these interrogations, we use silence at times like that and allow it to come out. And you never get the full confession. You usually get some kind of an utterance. And that's exactly what happened here. Suddenly he just says, have you got a map? You
talked about body language there. You're showing the various positions. Over 10 hours, there was a big change. And here's a good example of how the body language changed.
Okay. In this block here.
Okay. So you're pointing to
a detailed map of that area, and I'll show you where she is.
Okay. Is she close to a road?
Yep.
All right. And I called you the way I called you today because I wanted to give you the benefit of the doubt. Mm-hmm. But you and I both know you were at Jessica Lloyd's house. And I need to know why. How long has she been there for?
A little over a week.
Was it fairly quick from the time she left?
Friday night.
Friday night?
Yep.
So where was she between Thursday night and Friday night?
In Tweed.
With you?
Yep.
How long was she alive for?
Almost 24 hours, not quite.
So he saw that he got him, he started peppering with the questions, and out came the evidence.
He did, but in a very gentle way, in a very non-judgmental way. And you'll probably notice that in his language, he didn't say real direct things. He just, made a little bit of a reference to, how long was she gone? How long did you have her? And he didn't come across as somebody that was, and this is the interviewer, he didn't come across as somebody who was judging him at all. And that's very key, to continue with the rapport building and make sure that you maximize the information you're going to get. You usually only get one shot at this.
We got one piece of last video I want to show you that I got a lot of comments on. A handshake. Let's look at it and then I'll ask you about it.
Sure.
Russ, you're doing the right thing here. Okay.
Well, again, my interest is in making my wife's life a lot easier. And
Okay.
with her family as well.
From a layman's point of view, you're now shaking hands with a murderer.
Right. I've done it many times. Once you get the confession, you still need an awful lot more information. So you've got to solidify the rapport and the bond that you've built with that individual, and there's no better way to do it than by a handshake, and it's very, very powerful.
You're now teaching these interrogation techniques. Is this going to rewrite the textbook?
No, it's not going to rewrite the textbook, not in the police arena, but certainly in the public's eye. I think we've had our first glimpse here in Canada of what an interrogation is really like, as opposed to what we see on television.
Dave Perry, thanks for your insight tonight.
My pleasure.